The frozen winds of Theta 7 howled through the abandoned colony, like the screams of the dead. Lieutenant Cara Dune moved through the ruins with practiced silence. Her rifle held steady despite the cold that bit through her thermal gear. The evacuation had been chaotic, too chaotic. Intel suggested hostile forces were still in the area, and her squad had been sent to secure the perimeter before the final transport arrived. She stepped over debris, her boots crunching on ice-crusted metal. The colony had been hit hard. Scorch marks blackened the walls, and the acrid smell of burned circuitry still lingered in the thin atmosphere. Kara's breath formed clouds in the sub-zero air as she scanned each shadow, each corridor. That's when she heard it. A sound so faint she almost missed it beneath the wind. A soft, plaintive whimper. Kara froze, her finger hovering over the trigger. Friend or foe? The sound came again, weaker this time, from behind a collapsed storage unit. She approached slowly, weapon raised. What she found made her pause. Huddled in a corner barely visible in the dim light was a creature no larger than a house cat. Its fur was matted with ice and what looked like dried blood. 6 legs tucked beneath its body, trembling violently. The species was unmistakable, a Vrix cub. On any other day, in any other circumstance, this would have been a threat. Adult Vrix were apex predators feared across 3 sectors for their speed, their intelligence, and their ruthlessness in combat. But this was no apex predator. This was a child abandoned and freezing to death. The cub's 4 eyes, too large and too small, fixed on Kara with a mixture of terror and desperate hope. It tried to growl, a sound that came out as barely more than a squeak. Its triple-jawed mouth opened, revealing tiny fangs that would one day tear through hull plating. Right now, they chattered with cold. Kara should have called it in. Protocol demanded it. The Vrix were enemies of the Coalition, had been for decades. Their raiding parties had killed thousands. Leaving the cub here would be the strategic choice, one less predator to worry about in 20 years. She lowered her rifle. Without a word, Kara unzipped her tactical jacket, feeling the immediate bite of cold against her uniform. She knelt down slowly, making herself smaller, less threatening. The cub hissed weakly, pressing itself further into the corner. Its crystalline claws scraped uselessly against the frozen floor. Easy, Kara whispered, though she knew it couldn't understand her language. Tone mattered more than words. Easy. She extended her hand, palm up, moving with glacial slowness. The cub's eyes tracked the movement, pupils dilating and contracting rapidly, a sign of extreme stress in Vrix physiology. For a long moment, neither moved. Then, perhaps sensing that death by cold was certain while this strange creature represented only a possibility of danger, the cub shifted. It took 3 attempts for the weakened creature to stand. Its legs shook so violently that Kara thought it might collapse. Instead, it took 1 trembling step forward, then another. When it was close enough, Kara carefully, gently scooped it into her arms. The cub was lighter than it should have been, malnourished, dehydrated. Its body heat was dangerously low even for a species adapted to cold climates. Without hesitation, Kara wrapped her jacket around the small creature, pulling it close to her chest where her own body heat could make a difference. The effect was immediate. The violent trembling began to ease. The cub made a sound, not a growl or a hiss, but something softer. It pressed against her, seeking warmth like any frightened child would. Kara felt its triple heartbeats racing against her chest, gradually slowing to a more stable rhythm. She didn't speak. There were no words for this moment, no explanation that would satisfy a court-martial if it came to that. She simply stood, tucked the jacket more securely around the cub, and continued her patrol. The rest of the sweep took 20 minutes. Kara moved through the ruins one-handed, her rifle secured to its sling, her other arm cradling the bundle against her chest. The cub, Rick, she decided to call it after an old word from Earth meaning small but fierce, remained quiet, occasionally shifting but never trying to escape. When she rejoined her squad at the extraction point, Sergeant Morrison's eyes widened. "Lieutenant, is that civilian casualty?" Kara interrupted, her voice flat, brooking no argument. "Non-combatant. We're bringing it back." Morrison opened his mouth, closed it, then nodded slowly. The rest of the squad exchanged glances but said nothing. Lieutenant Dune had led them through impossible situations before. They trusted her judgment even when it made no tactical sense. On the transport back to the fleet, Kara sat in the corner, still silent, still cradling Rick against her chest. The cub had fallen into an exhausted sleep, its breathing finally steady and even. Medical Officer Chen approached with a scanner and a worried expression. "Lieutenant, I should—" Kara met her eyes. "Stabilize it. Feed it, keep it warm. Those are your orders." Chen hesitated only a moment before nodding. "Yes, ma'am." The story might have ended there. A small act of mercy in the midst of war forgotten within days. But years later, when the Coalition and the Vrix clans finally came to the negotiating table, it was Rick who stood as one of the Vrix ambassadors. Fully grown, magnificent, and terrifying, the apex predator commanded respect from all who saw him. But when Lieutenant Cara Dune, now a captain, entered the chamber as part of the human delegation, Rick's 4 eyes met hers. Before any official greeting, before protocol could be observed, the massive predator approached her. The room tensed, hands moving to weapons. Rick stopped in front of Cara and, with surprising gentleness for a creature that could tear through steel, touched his forehead to hers, a gesture of profound respect in Vrix culture. The human who gave warmth when she had no reason to. Rick spoke in Coalition common, his voice resonant and deep. "I have not forgotten." Kara placed her hand on his scaled head, just as she had years ago in the frozen ruins. She smiled slightly. "Neither have I, Rick. Neither have I." Some said that moment changed the course of the negotiations. Others claimed it was simply good timing. But those who were there knew the truth. Humanity's greatest strength was never in their weapons or their fleets. It was in knowing when to fight, and when to simply offer warmth to someone trembling in the cold.